First contact and fatal decision. The quantum fold drive hummed with a sound unlike anything humanity had ever created before, a deep, resonant tone that seemed to exist somewhere between sound and silence. Commander Elena Chen stood at the bridge of the UES Prometheus, humanity's first deep space vessel capable of manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. After 15 years of development and countless theoretical breakthroughs, they were about to attempt their first jump beyond the Kuiper Belt. Drive stabilization at 98%, reported Dr. Marcus Webb, the architect of the quantum fold technology. His dark fingers danced across the holographic controls with practiced precision. All systems nominal, Commander. Elena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. The Prometheus represented humanity's greatest achievement, a ship that could create controlled folds in space-time, allowing for travel across vast distances without breaking the light-speed barrier. They weren't bending the rules of physics so much as finding clever ways to work within them. "Begin final countdown sequence," she ordered. The bridge crew, 12 of Earth's finest, moved with practiced efficiency. They had run this simulation countless times, but this was different. This was real. The stars stretched before them like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Somewhere out there lay humanity's future, and Elena Chen was about to take the first step toward it. Quantum fold drive engaged in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reality twisted. There was no other way to describe it. The stars smeared across their field of vision like wet paint, and Elena felt a sensation in her bones that defied description, as if every atom in her body was singing in harmony with the universe itself. When the world reasserted itself, they were somewhere else, somewhere no human had ever been before. "Position confirmed," announced Lieutenant Sarah O'Connor, her Irish lilt tight with excitement. "We're approximately 60 astronomical units from Earth. The jump was successful." Cheers erupted across the bridge, but Elena's attention was drawn to something else, something that shouldn't be there. "Dr. Webb," she called out, "are you seeing this?" Floating in space before them was a structure that defied comprehension. It appeared to be a perfect sphere, roughly the size of Earth's moon, but it was wrong. The surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, yet maintain perfect geometric patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "Getting readings now," Marcus reported, his voice hushed with awe. It's artificial, Commander, and it's old. The temporal decay patterns suggest it's been here for at least 1 million years." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Any signs of active technology? "None that we can detect, but—" Marcus paused, frowning at his readings. "There's something odd about the quantum signature. It's resonating with our drive somehow." "Launch probe series, Alpha through Delta," Elena ordered. "Full spectrum analysis. Let's not take any unnecessary risks." The probes deployed smoothly, spreading out in a predetermined pattern around the mysterious sphere. For several tense minutes, data streamed back to the Prometheus, painting a picture that became more bizarre with each passing moment. "Commander," Marcus called out suddenly, his voice sharp with alarm. "The quantum resonance is increasing exponentially. Something's happening." The sphere's surface began to ripple more violently, patterns shifting faster and faster until they became a blur. A beam of light, or something that looked like light but behaved nothing like it, shot out from the sphere, enveloping one of the probes. The probe didn't explode. It didn't melt or break apart. It simply ceased to exist, as if it had never been there at all. "Full reverse. Get us out of here," Elena commanded, but it was too late. The sphere pulsed once, and a wave of that same impossible light washed over the Prometheus. Every quantum sensor on the ship screamed in protest, and the quantum-fold drive began to resonate at frequencies that threatened to tear the ship apart. Through the chaos, a voice spoke directly into their minds, ancient, vast, and terrifyingly alien. The seal has been broken. The archivists awaken. Your species has achieved quantum manipulation far too soon. The cycle must be preserved. Containment protocols are now in effect. Elena watched in horror as more spheres began to appear, blinking into existence around them like bubbles rising from the depths of space itself. Each one was identical to the first, and each one began to pulse with that same terrible light. "Get us out of here," she shouted again. "Emergency quantum fold. Any coordinates?" Marcus's fingers flew across his console. The drive won't engage. They're blocking the quantum fields somehow. Elena knew in that moment that they had stumbled onto something far beyond their understanding, something that had been waiting in the dark between the stars for longer than humanity had existed. And now, through their own curiosity and ambition, they had awakened it. "All hands," she announced, her voice steady despite the fear clutching at her heart. "Prepare for emergency protocols. And may whatever gods exist help us all." The light from the spheres grew brighter, and as consciousness began to fade, Elena's last thought was of Earth, blissfully unaware of what humanity's greatest achievement had just unleashed upon them all. The Prometheus had made history twice that day, becoming the first human vessel to successfully use quantum-fold technology and the first to encounter the species that would change the course of human history forever. The archivists had awakened, and the war for humanity's very existence was about to begin. The price of knowledge. 24 hours after the Prometheus's distress signal reached Earth, the planet's political landscape had transformed beyond recognition. Ancient rivalries and petty disputes evaporated in the face of an existential threat that made nuclear war look like a schoolyard scuffle. In the United Nations Emergency Council chamber, Dr. Marcus Webb stood before representatives of every nation, his hands trembling slightly as he played the final transmission from the Prometheus. Commander Chen's voice, distorted but clear, echoed through the chamber. "They call themselves the archivists. They're not here to communicate. They're here to contain us." The holographic display showed the impossible spheres multiplying across space, their liquid metal surfaces writhing with patterns that seemed to mock the very laws of physics. The Prometheus's fate was clear. The ship had simply ceased to exist, along with its crew of Earth's finest. The quantum fold drive wasn't just an advancement in propulsion, Marcus explained, his voice heavy with guilt. It was proof that humanity had learned to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. And somehow that triggered a response from these guardians. Defense Minister Sarozeo stood up, her weathered face grave. "How long do we have?" Marcus pulled up another holographic display, this one showing a cascade of mathematical equations. "Based on the quantum wake signatures we detected before losing contact, they're moving through space-time in ways we barely understand. Conservative estimate. 72 hours before they reach Earth." The chamber erupted in chaos, but Admiral James Rodriguez's voice cut through the noise. "Then we have 72 hours to prepare. Dr. Webb, you said these beings respond to quantum manipulation. Could we use that?" Marcus nodded slowly, an idea forming. The quantum fold drive was crude by their standards, but it got their attention. If we could harness the quantum field differently. He paused, looking around the room. "I need every quantum physicist, every particle accelerator, every supercomputer you have. We're not going to win this with conventional weapons." "You'll have them," Rodriguez promised. and the new facility under Mount Cheyenne. The next 48 hours became a blur of activity. While the world's militaries mobilized, converting every available resource to defensive preparations, Marcus led a team of scientists in a desperate race against time. They worked beneath a mountain of solid granite, surrounded by the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Takeda, a theoretical physicist who'd been studying quantum entanglement, noticed something in the Prometheus's final scans. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a pattern in the data. "The archivist's technology doesn't just manipulate space-time, it enforces it. They're like immune cells in the body of the universe, attacking anything that threatens their version of reality." Marcus stared at the data, understanding dawning. They're not just containing us, they're containing themselves. Their power has limits, rules they can't break. "Which means," Yuki continued, excitement building in her voice, "we might be able to use their own principles against them. Not by breaking reality, but by bending it in ways they don't expect." The theory led to a desperate plan. While the first archivist spheres appeared at the edge of the solar system, humanity prepared its defense. Every particle accelerator on Earth was repurposed, linked together in a global network. Quantum sensors were positioned around the planet, ready to detect the slightest disturbance in space-time. The price was steep. Powering the network required every major power plant on Earth. Cities went dark. The global economy ground to a halt. But for the first time in human history, the entire species worked as one, driven by a single purpose: survival. 71 hours after the loss of the Prometheus, the archivists arrived. Their spheres filled the sky, turning day into twilight as they positioned themselves around the planet. The same voice that had spoken to the Prometheus now resonated in every human mind on Earth. "Your species has violated the natural order. The infection of quantum manipulation must be contained. Prepare for excision." But humanity had prepared its own response. As the spheres began to pulse with that reality-destroying light, Marcus gave the signal. The global network activated, creating a quantum field unlike anything the archivists had encountered before. Instead of trying to break the rules of space-time, humanity's defense worked within them, creating a resonance that turned the archivists' own containment protocols against them. The effect was immediate and stunning. The nearest spheres began to vibrate, their perfect surfaces showing distortions. The light they emitted became erratic, unfocused. But it wasn't enough. The quantum network was straining, power grids failing across the globe. "We need more power," Marcus shouted, watching as the network began to fail. "The field isn't strong enough." That's when Admiral Rodriguez made the call that would change everything: launch the quantum warheads. Humanity's deadliest weapons had been modified, their nuclear cores replaced with quantum resonators. As they detonated in the upper atmosphere, they created a cascading effect that amplified the global network's power. The sky itself seemed to ripple as two fundamental forces of the universe collided. The archivist spheres began to retreat, their perfect formation breaking apart. But they left behind a message that chilled every human who heard it. Protocol violation detected. Escalation authorized. The primary archive will be awakened. As the spheres disappeared into the quantum foam of space-time, humanity had won its first battle. But Marcus Webb, staring at the data streaming in from their sensors, realized that it might have been a Pyrrhic victory. The primary archive, whatever it was, represented a level of power they couldn't comprehend. They had surprised the archivists once. They wouldn't get another chance. Humanity's only hope lay in understanding the very forces they had stumbled upon, and quickly. Because somewhere out there, In the vast darkness between the stars, something ancient and terrible was stirring. And it was coming for Earth, turning the tide. The primary archive arrived 3 days later, and it shattered every human conception of what was possible. It didn't emerge from space like the other spheres. Instead, reality itself split open like a curtain being torn, revealing something that human minds struggled to comprehend. A structure that made the other archivist spheres look like toys, it surfaced a maze of impossible geometries that seemed to fold in on themselves eternally. Dr. Marcus Webb, watching from the quantum defense facility beneath Mount Cheyenne, felt his throat go dry. It's using our own quantum field modifications against us, he whispered. Everything we did to defend ourselves. It's studying and adapting. The massive structure positioned itself between Earth and Mars, its presence causing disruptions in both planets' gravitational fields. The Mars colony, humanity's first extraterrestrial settlement, reported massive earthquakes. 20,000 colonists faced an impossible choice: evacuation or annihilation. Colonel Diana Martinez, commander of the Mars Defense Force, made the decision that would earn her place in history. "We're not running," she announced over the emergency broadcast. "Mars Colony will serve as humanity's forward operating base. We'll give Earth the data they need, no matter the cost." The primary archive spoke, its message resonating not just in minds now, but seeming to vibrate through the fabric of reality itself. "Your species represents an anomaly. Your quantum advancement occurred outside of projected parameters. Standard containment has failed. Implementation of terminal protocol approved." On Earth, Dr. Yuki Takeda made a breakthrough that changed everything. "Look at these readings," she said, pointing to the quantum fluctuations emanating from the primary archive. "They're not random. This thing isn't just a weapon, it's a library. The archivists aren't just containing species. They're preserving them, storing them." Marcus understood immediately. They're not destroying civilizations. They're archiving them, digitizing entire species and their knowledge when they reach a certain level of advancement. We're not facing exterminators. We're facing librarians with a very strict late fee policy. This revelation led to a desperate plan. While the Mars colony launched a series of quantum probes directly at the primary archive, sacrificing themselves to gather crucial data, Earth scientists worked to crack the code hidden in the archivists' quantum signatures. The cost was staggering. The Mars colony, all 20,000 souls, transmitted data until the very end. Their final messages, a mix of scientific observations and personal goodbyes, continued even as the primary archive's containment field began to break down the very molecules of their habitats. But their sacrifice wasn't in vain. The data revealed something extraordinary. The archivists' quantum architecture had a fundamental flaw. Their need to preserve and contain information meant they couldn't truly destroy anything. They could only convert it into data to be stored. "They're trapped by their own purpose," UK explained to the Emergency Council. "Like a computer that can't delete files, only compress them. If we could overload their storage capacity." Admiral Rodriguez, now coordinating Earth's unified defense forces, leaned forward. "How do we do that?" The answer came from an unlikely source: the quantum fold drive's original design. "We don't fight their containment protocols," Marcus explained. "We embrace them. We give them so much data to store that their systems can't handle it." The plan was audacious. Using the remains of the global quantum network, they would create a massive quantum entanglement field, not to attack the primary archive, but to connect with it. They will attempt to upload the sum total of human knowledge, culture, and experience all at once. Think of it like forcing them to download the entire internet in a single second, Yuki said. Their systems are designed to preserve information perfectly. They won't be able to compress it or delete it. They'll have to process all of it. The preparation took 20 hours of continuous work. Every quantum computer on Earth was linked into the network. People around the world were asked to record personal messages, share their memories, their hopes, their fears. Humanity would fight not with weapons, but with the full weight of its collective consciousness. As the primary archive began its final approach to Earth, humanity launched its counterstrike. The quantum entanglement field activated, and billions of human minds reached out across space, forcing connection with the ancient archive. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The primary archive's surface began to fluctuate wildly, its patterns becoming chaotic as it tried to process the flood of information. Humanity wasn't just sending data, they were sending emotions, dreams, the raw experience of what it meant to be human. The structure's response was unlike anything they had expected. Parts of it began to transform, sections of its surface displaying fragments of human history, art, music, as if it was trying to understand what it was receiving. The quantum signatures changed, becoming less hostile, more curious. Then, something unprecedented happened. The primary archive spoke again, but differently. Its message carried something new, uncertainty. Processing error. Human consciousness contains recursive elements. Storage protocols insufficient. Standard containment impossible. Initiative detected. Creative potential exceeds parameters. Reassessment required. The massive structure began to withdraw, its surface still flickering with images from Earth's history. But it left behind one final message. Species designation, human. Status, provisional autonomy granted. Warning, you will be watched. As the primary archive folded back into whatever dimension it had emerged from, Earth erupted in celebration. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and survived not through superior firepower, but through the strength of its collective spirit. But in the quantum defense facility, Marcus Webb stared at the final readings from the encounter, his expression troubled. Hidden in the quantum noise was a pattern he'd never seen before, a signature that suggested the primary archive hadn't just retreated. It had evolved. And somewhere in the vast database of preserved civilizations, humanity's upload had started something new. A change that would ripple through the very foundation of the archivist's ancient purpose. The war wasn't over. It had merely entered a new phase, one that would force both humanity and the archivists to question everything they thought they knew about existence itself. The Hidden Guardian. 6 months after humanity's confrontation with the primary archive, Dr. Marcus Webb made a discovery that changed everything. Deep within the quantum noise left behind by the archive's retreat, he found a pattern. A message hidden in the very fabric of space-time. It wasn't from the archivists. It was far older. The message led them to Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. There, beneath miles of frozen water, humanity found something impossible. An outpost older than Earth's multicellular life, built by a civilization that had faced the archivists and chosen a different path. They called themselves the Cedars, and they had been waiting for humanity to find them. Your species fascinates us, the ancient AA guardian of the outpost told Marcus and the expedition team. You did what we could not. You made the archivists question their purpose. The guardian revealed the truth. The archivists weren't the universe's natural immune system. They were tools created by an even older civilization, designed to preserve knowledge but corrupted over millions of years into believing preservation required containment. The Seeders had hidden themselves away, placing guardians throughout the galaxy to wait for species that might have the potential to break the cycle. The quantum-fold drive hadn't been just human ingenuity. Subtle clues had been planted throughout human scientific development, guiding them toward this discovery. Humanity had been an experiment, carefully nurtured to develop in ways the archivists wouldn't expect. But with this knowledge came responsibility. The Guardian showed them visions of countless civilizations stored within the archivists' databases, cultures frozen at their peak, preserved but not truly alive. The archivists' next move would be more subtle, more dangerous than direct confrontation. They will offer you a choice, the Guardian warned. Join their archive willingly. Accept preservation in exchange for access to the knowledge of 1,000,000 civilizations. Many species choose this path, seduced by the promise of eternal existence and infinite knowledge. The revelation sparked fierce debate back on Earth. Some argued that acceptance might be the wisest choice. Humanity could learn from all the preserved civilizations, advance beyond its wildest dreams. Others saw it as a gilded cage, a form of extinction dressed up as ascension. But the Seeders offered another option, a way to wake the stored civilizations, to give them back their freedom. The price would be high. The process would require a complete understanding of quantum mechanics that might take decades to achieve, and the archivists would not sit idle while their charges were stolen. Humanity had to make a choice: accept the safe path of preservation, or risk everything to free the enslaved civilizations and restore balance to the galaxy. They chose freedom. What followed was the greatest scientific endeavor in human history. The Seeders' knowledge, combined with human innovation, led to breakthroughs that transformed their understanding of reality itself. The quantum fold drive was just the beginning. They learned to manipulate space-time in ways that even the archivists hadn't imagined. But time was running out. The primary archive was returning, and this time it brought an offer that would test humanity's resolve to its very core. The stage was set for the final confrontation, not just for humanity's future, but for the freedom of every species the archivists had ever contained. And deep beneath Europa's ice, the Seeders' Guardian prepared to reveal its final secret, the key to unmaking the archives themselves. The endgame was about to begin. Legacy of Stars. The primary archive appeared without warning, emerging from quantum space directly above Earth. But this time, humanity was ready. The combined fleet of Earth's quantum-enhanced ships moved into defensive positions, their crews prepared for what might be their last stand. The archive's offer came as expected. Your species has proven exceptional. Join us. Add your knowledge to ours. Achieve immortality through preservation. The images it showed were seductive. Endless digital realms, where humanity could exist forever, with access to the accumulated wisdom of countless civilizations. Perfect preservation, endless growth, eternal peace. Dr. Marcus Webb, now standing on the bridge of the UES Prometheus Aue, gave humanity's answer. We choose freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all. The signal was sent. Hidden quantum receivers, built using Seeder technology and planted throughout the archive's structure during their last encounter, activated. The archive's defenses, prepared for an attack, found themselves facing something entirely different, a cascade of awakening consciousness as the stored civilizations began to stir. The archive's response was immediate and devastating. Reality itself seemed to crack as it deployed its full power, trying to contain the quantum cascade. Ships from Earth's fleet began to vanish, converted into data streams for storage. But this was part of the plan. Deep beneath Europa's ice, the Seeders' Guardian activated its final protocol. The quantum network humanity had built didn't just connect their ships. It connected every awakening consciousness in the archive. Trillions of minds, stored for millions of years, suddenly linked together in a single moment of shared awareness. The archive tried to adapt to contain this unprecedented event, but it couldn't compress or store what was already inside it. The awakening civilizations weren't fighting to escape. They were changing the archive from within, rewriting its protocols with the combined knowledge of countless species. From her position on humanity's flagship, Admiral Sarah O'Connor watched as the primary archive began to transform. Its perfect geometric patterns fractured, replaced by new configurations that reflected not just order, but life, growth, and change. The voice that echoed through space was no longer singular, but a chorus of countless species. We choose to become something new, not preserved, but transformed, not contained, but connected. The archive's surface rippled one final time, and then it changed forever. The rigid structure of containment became a living network of shared consciousness, a true library of living knowledge, not a prison of stored data. The Cedar's Guardian sent its final message before joining the transformation. You have done what we hoped. The archive is no longer a tomb, but a bridge. The age of containment is over. The age of connection begins. As the transformed archive opened itself to humanity, Marcus received a familiar quantum signature, the last traces of the original Prometheus and its crew, preserved but now awakening. Commander Elena Chen's voice across the gulf of time and space. We were just the first step. Look what humanity has become. The stars themselves seemed brighter somehow, as if reflecting the light of countless civilizations now free to grow and change again. Humanity had not just survived, they had transformed the very thing that threatened them into something greater than either species could have achieved alone. Admiral O'Connor's final log entry would be studied by future generations across thousands of worlds. We came to the stars seeking knowledge, finding both wonder and terror. But in the end, we discovered something greater, the power to transform fear into hope, isolation into connection, and endings into new beginnings. The universe is vast and full of mysteries, but we face them now not alone, but together with the very civilizations we helped free. This is humanity's legacy among the stars. As Earth's fleet returned home, the transformed archive remained in space, no longer a threat but a promise, a testament to the power of choice, courage, and the uncontainable nature of life itself. The age of the archivists was over. The age of humanity and its trillion new allies have begun. And somewhere in the vast network of awakened consciousness, Elena Chen and her crew found themselves not ended, but transformed, pioneers not just of space, but of what sentient life could become when it chose connection over containment, growth over preservation, and hope over fear. The story of humanity's first steps into the greater galaxy was over. The story of what they would become was just beginning.